What is good, Josh? I'm the Smooth Game Man, back with yet another reaction video, baby. And today it's time for some more Anime Tuesdays. As today we have all Team 7's ranked and explained. This is going to be, of course, with Naruto, Shippuden, and Boruto. Shout out to the game. But we're going to talk Team 7's only. So there's been many different iterations of Team 7. It's normally led by one person that goes really evil, one person that's really good, and the female character that just kind of gets, I wouldn't even say left behind. I mean, in most iterations, she's strong, just not as strong as the other two. So we kind of just get forgotten about. You know, I guess they're forgotten about. And then the leader that's ultimately OP. You know what I'm saying? So I'm interested to see what different iterations of Team 7 this will go, how we're breaking down the rules. Of course, to me, in my mind, the Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi trio, quartet, I think that's 4, right? Has to be on top in my mind, but we'll see how this list gets organized, or what even quantifies as a Team 7 will Sai as part of Team 7 count. Will you know, are there other Team 7s that I don't know about, that aren't even the big names, like with the legendary Sanin and Kakashi's team, and then now this one. So we'll see when we go ahead and jump into the video and see what the different rankings are. It's a pretty short one today compared to other ranked and explained, so probably not that many entries. But like, comment, and subscribe. You guys wait into the video if you guys want to see more animes Tuesdays come out, and then just more anime videos in general. Your boy actually did finally catch up to, I won't say finish because it's a new season come out, catch up to Black Clover. And man, was it amazing. I ain't gonna even lie to you, brother. I could see where he was coming at with the whole Captain Yami being the strongest. That boy was crazy strong throughout the whole outbreak. The fact that, like, them Dark Triad trio, they was no, well, I mean, one of them kind of, I feel like, was more so plot keeping her alive, Vivica or something like that. I think she should have got defeated. Dante did get defeated, trash. But that last dude, I forgot his name, with the last one with the bones, tough. You have to be really tough. But we can talk, like I said, I could do a whole review over what I've liked and thought about Demon Slayer. If you guys want to see it, let me know down below in the comment section, and I will give a more thought out video, a longer video devoted to just Black Clover. Keep saying Demon Slayer, I don't mind. Now, what I'm currently doing is catching back up on, I know I'm a little bit late on the My Hero Academia last season. Once I finish that up, I'm going to start watching animes. It's kind of in order from the shortest, the quickest I can finish, to the longer one. So I'll keep you updated as I finish anime stuff. So that being said, though, so we're gonna jump into the video. Pretty long intro here today. My fault. Didn't mean to go on my soapbox too much. Obviously, the timestamp to get to the video is down below in the description anyway. So see y'all there.
Over the course of Naruto's history, there have been 5 separate iterations of Team 7 over 3 different generations. Nice. And while every iteration of Team 7 brings a new sensei, a new genin, there's been one consistent factor through all 5 of these iterations: strength. See, really, when it comes down to it, regardless of the iteration or the generation, I'd be fairly willing to bet that whatever iteration of Team 7 that's currently existing, whatever part of the Naruto timeline we're in, is the strongest team in Konoha. Whether that be before Naruto, during Naruto, or after Naruto. And therefore, comparing any iteration of Team 7 to the other teams that they coexisted with is kind of silly. Yes, I could explain to you why they're stronger than all the other teams, but you'd probably be able to figure that out on your own. However, what if instead of comparing these 5 iterations of Team 7 to the other teams of their times, we instead compared them to each other? I mean, the one thing that ties them all together is strength, right? So who's got the most of it? Well, today, that's the question that I want to answer. Because today, we're talking every Team 7 in Naruto's history, ranked and explained. But before we get to ranking or explaining anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. So, before we head into this, I want to lay down some ground rules. Today we're talking about Team 7's, not the individuals that have comprised Team 7's at certain times. Now, what does that mean? Well, Team 7's kind of have an interesting ability to break up at some point or another. In fact, pretty much every single iteration of Team 7 ever has had one of their members turn evil and leave the village. And while some of these Team 7's have been able to reconcile their differences and come back together as a team, most of these Team 7's never get that opportunity. And therefore, when we talk about a Team 7, we're going to be talking about them as a combined unit. The strength that they had at the latest moment they were ever together. For Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi, that would be the end of Shippuden, or even Boruto, as all of them still existed in Konoha, all fighting for the same side. And while the 4 of them weren't sent out on missions together, because my god, would that be overkill, within the confines of my criteria, with all of them inside of Konoha still fighting for Konoha, I would say that they're still Team 7. But unfortunately, unfortunately, that's not the case for all of the Team 7s we're going to be talking about today, as some of these Team 7s fractured at the peak of their strength and were unfortunately never able to come back together, which is why, rather surprisingly, coming in last place at number 5 is the most recent iteration of Team 7,
they're saying they're weaker
Boruto's
than
Team 7, a team comprised of Boruto, Konohamaru, Sarada, and Mitsuki. And no, I'm not going to be considering Kawaki as a part of the new gen Team 7. The only time he's ever involved in missions with Team 7 and Boruto or anime-only arcs. So, to me at least, he's not a member of the new gen Team 7. Now, there is absolutely an argument to be made here that this is way too low for the new gen Team 7, as after all, the criteria for their consideration was that they have to be working together, fighting for the same side to be considered a team. And Nick, wouldn't you reckon right now that Konohamaru, Boruto, Mitsuki, and Sarada are all working towards the completion of the same goal for the same nation, which is the destruction of the Shinju for Konoha? And to a degree, yes, I would agree with that. And therefore, an argument could absolutely be made that the most recent iteration of Boruto's Team 7 is existing right now in Chapter 18 of Two Blue Vortex. And if that's the ideology you want to operate with, not only is Boruto's new Team 7 not number 5 on this list, they'd be competing for number 1. However, I don't consider this collaborative mission between Boruto and Team 7 and 2/3 to be a recreation of Boruto's Team 7. Because while Sarada doesn't believe that Boruto is evil, Mitsuki still has doubts, as he had to be directed by Shikamaru to release Boruto from prison, and Konohamaru is the person who put him there in the first place. So yes, Boruto, Konohamaru, Mitsuki, and Sarada are working towards the same goal. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're doing it together. They're doing it through the intermediary of Shikamaru, and Shikamaru is very purposely omitting the fact from Konohamaru that he's working with Boruto and Kashin Koji. So what's the iteration of Team 7 that we're talking about here? Well, it would be up until Chapter 78-ish of Part 1 of Boruto, prior to the omnipotence blast of Kawaki and Ada that turns the entire world, including Konohamaru and Mitsuki, against Boruto. Which means what we're talking about here is a 3-tomei Sharingan Sarada who was able to use her Chidori to slice through Boro's core. A non-mature version of Mitsuki who's able to access his Snake Sage form, but only temporarily, and at great risk to his body, mind you. A version of Konohamaru that showed the ability to go up against a fully transformed Jugo, but like with Mitsuki, only temporarily, and Boruto, who at this time actually had a pretty complete mastery over his karma marking, so much so that in the next couple of chapters he would be able to absorb the Daikoku-ten that Kawaki tried to cast him into using his karma marking. And while Boruto absolutely comes back from the time skip massively more powerful than he was pre-time skip, this version of Boruto is absolutely a threat, as both he and Kawaki were shown as having somewhat legitimate chances in combat against a limitless code, and also were complete equals with each other as they sparred in a one-on-one taijutsu battle. Well, actually, it wasn't a spar, it was more like a death match. And while Kawaki at this moment in time had not accessed the fullness of Ishiki's powers through his newly found karma marking, as we could see from the fact that all of the spokes in his Dharma wheel had not awoken, Kawaki proved himself, even without this new and improved karma marking in the battle against Delta, to be FTL+, as he was able to not only react to a light-based attack from Ada, but also shield Naruto and Himawari from it. So the fact that Boruto pre-time skip was able to battle one-on-one on even ground against him proves that even as a Genin pre-time skip, that Boruto was already one of the strongest members to ever be a part of any Team 7 ever. However, because of lack of strength from Sarada and Konohamaru and the unfinished form of Mitsuki, I just can't put pre-time skip Team 7 any higher than our number 5 spot. However, like I said, if we were considering their Chapter 18 Two Blue Vortex forms, they would absolutely be in conversations for the number 1 spot. In fact, I fully plan on doing a Team 7 versus Team 7 fight between Naruto's Team 7 and Boruto's Team 7, but not in this video. Up next, unfortunately, after Boruto's Team 7, we have another iteration of Team 7 that got broken up way too soon, and that would be Team Minato, a team that was comprised of Minato, Obito, Kakashi, and Rin. Now, this team is also incredibly top-heavy, like Boruto's Team 7, because, well, yes, eventually Rin does become the Jinchuriki of Isobu, not that she ever does anything with that. The iteration of this team that we're going to be talking about is the Kanabi Bridge iteration, because the Kanabi Bridge mission was the last time that this iteration of Team 7 was ever working together collaboratively. Yes, I understand that there was a moment in time when Minato, Kakashi, and Obito were all fighting on the same side in the 4th Great Shinobi World War, but Kabuto, for some reason or another, didn't bring Rin back to life. And while I'm being sarcastic here, now that I'm thinking about it, Kabuto bringing Rin back to life probably would have been a pretty good idea. But I guess he didn't know that Obito was Obito.
That would have been crazy.
He might have, actually, because Kabuto brought Madara back to life. So obviously Madara wasn't walking around as Madara, but did Kabuto know it was Obito? That is something I've never thought about. Anyways, Rin wasn't alive to contribute during the 4th Great Shinobi World War. No, I'm not counting her being in the Pure Lands and allowing for Kakashi to get the dual MS.
She was waiting there for Obito with the Pure Land. She's the only reason the 6-pass shock was able to
but she ain't fighting.
Kakashi. Now, we're talking about the Kanami Bridge iteration of Team Minato, because after that, Obito dies and then gets radicalized. So we're talking about here is Rin, who is undoubtedly the weakest ever member of any Team 7 ever. Her special attack in Ninja Storm is rolling a log. So in terms of strength calculation, she's not even somebody we need to talk.
Please tell me he's lying. Which one is that one so I can go play it? Her special move is really rolling a log on the ground? That's so trash. I thought Sakura was bad.
About a 3-Tomei Sharingan to Obito, who at the time of his death had taijutsu skills on par with Kakashi's, as we saw in the flashbacks in Obito and Kakashi's 4th Great Shinobi World War fight. The Great Fireball technique, the ability to use Kakashi's hands for said Great Fireball technique, extrasensory perception, and speed boosts granted by a Sharingan, and a fair amount more. While Obito was a screw-up in the beginning of the formation of Team Minato, by the time of the Kanami Bridge mission, he was a Chunin, and very young Chunin. And while Team Minato, Sans Minato, was definitely fighting an uphill battle against the Hidden Stone Shinobi that they stumbled upon in the Kanami Bridge mission, those were 2 war-ready mid-level Jonin. Now, obviously, if Minato was there, those Jonin would have died in an instant. I mean, he literally had a run-on-sight order, so they probably would have tried to get away instead of dying in an instant. But it's fairly safe to say that by the time the Kanami Bridge mission came along, Kakashi was already a high-ish level Jonin threat, and Obito was a lowish Jonin level threat. And Rin, even though we really never saw all that much from her, was at least a Chunin. So when you take all of that into consideration, on top of the fact that their sensei was so incredibly deadly in this war that he later became the 4th Hokage, yeah, I would argue that this iteration of Team Minato would beat Boruto's Part 1 Team 7 in combat. If only because I genuinely don't think there is a singular person on that team that was a match for 3rd Great Shinobi World War Minato. But if you want to throw Kakashi into that mix as well, he's probably stronger than both Sarada and Mitsuki. And Obito and Sarada are probably of comparable strength in both of these iterations. But enough about these prequel and sequel Team 7 teams. Let's get to the meat of Naruto and talk about the second iteration of Team 7 that we saw in Naruto's timeline. That is, at our number 3 spot, Yamato, Naruto, Sakura, and Sai. Now, this is the most exciting iteration of Team 7 we ever saw in Naruto's timeline. No. However, it is an iteration that stayed together a lot longer than a lot of the other Team 7s we're going to talk about today. Now, talking about this Team 7, it's kind of hard to pick what version of the characters involved we should talk about. Because like we've already established with...
Hold on. Let me break this down. I mean, obviously, Naruto would have to handle that. Sai and Kid Kakashi, though? Kakashi was a menace. Sakura and not Sakura. I guess Sakura would handle Rin pretty handedly. Obito would just have to help take down Sakura, which I think he could do, but then help take down Sai. And Yamato with his wood release. Okay, I might be able to. So I had to slow it down and think about it for a second. I was trying to think like, realistically, Minato? How strong did Naruto get it?
Team Kakashi's Team 7. Yamato, Sai, Sakura, Naruto all still exist in Konoha and all still fight for Konoha. So should we consider the Boruto versions of all of these characters? Maybe. But me personally, I think this version of Team 7 died when Sasuke returned to the village. Listen, I love Sai much more than the next guy. But come on, are we really going to say that Sai is still a part of Team 7 after Sasuke returned? It's not like Sai was a part of the 3-way deadlock. It wasn't Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and then Sai with a giant drawn summoning. After Sasuke revives the Hokage through Orochimaru and joins the Shinobi Alliance, this version of Team 7 is dead and gone. But that does mean that there are some very powerful members of this version of Team 7. That means we're talking about KCM1 Naruto, who was able to battle against White Mask Obito with his 6 paths of pain, who were all Jinchuriki, mind you, with their tail beast resealed back into them. Basically, final form Sakura, at least so far as Naruto is concerned, as Sakura enters the 4th Great Shinobi World War as strong as she leaves it, unlike Naruto and Sasuke. So that means that this version of Team 7 has access to Sakura with a strength of 100 seal and mitotic regeneration. And on top of this, while Sai doesn't play nearly as big a role in the 4th Great Shinobi World War as really any of the other members of the Naruto-based Team 7, Sai is actually, from like just a general shinobi perspective, an incredibly vital part of the Shinobi Alliance's plans to deal with Edo Tensei shinobi. I mean, my god, he was able to seal Fuguki, one of the strongest ever members of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist, so strong that the only person who could kill him was Kisame, the sole survivor, at least in the manga, of Might Dai's releasing of the 8th Gate. And yet Sai was able to use his Super Beast Scroll to seal away Fuguki. That's nuts. And that really is the strength of Sai, his Fuin Jutsu. With his Super Beast Scroll, he can really accomplish whatever he wants to. Add that into the fact that even before joining Team 7, he's one of the most effective assassins from the root with a body count over 1,000. And honestly, even though he doesn't have a lot of what I would identify as important wins, in the 4th Great Shinobi World War, he displayed his versatility as he was pretty much singularly responsible for sealing all of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist who were brought back, who all, mind you, had their 7 Swords of the Mist. So you add that strength to a version of Sakura who is comparable to Tsunade in her prime, a version of Naruto who was able to go up against one of the strongest ever iterations of Obito in White Mask Obito, and who was also able to hang with the 4th Raikage in terms of speed and trade blows with Edo Tensei Madara.
At this point, I'm starting to wonder,
with,
should this not be number 2 then?
Well, unfortunately, one of the more disappointing senseis on this list of Team 7 senseis in Yamato, who, like, was powerful, obviously, but, like, found more utility in his ability to seal away Naruto's chakra whenever Kurama tried to take him over than anything. And yeah, I believe you have the 3rd strongest version of Team 7 we ever saw. But really only Team 7 because...
I was say, yeah, because I was starting to think that maybe they might even need to take over, like, and be in front of, like, the original 3-way deadlock, but Sensei might be kind of holding them back.
Team 7 once you start to talk about the 3-way deadlock, which is where our number 2 pick comes in, which is Team Hiruzen, also known as Hiruzen, Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and Tsunade, or the legendary Sannin. Now, this is an iteration of a Team 7 that stayed together for a surprisingly long amount of time. Jiraiya was a Jonin, and at the age that he was taking on Genin in the 2nd Great Shinobi World War. And Tsunade and Orochimaru don't abandon Konoha until after the completion of the 3rd Great Shinobi World War. In fact, one of the reasons that Orochimaru decides to lean into evil and defect from Konoha is because he's not elected as the 4th Hokage. And it's the events of the 3rd Great Shinobi World War and the loss of her lover and her little brother that lead Tsunade to not only becoming hemophobic, which is the fear of blood, hemophobia, but also deciding that living in the village isn't for her anymore. And therefore, this iteration of Team 7 is together for almost 2 decades. And while Jiraiya takes some time away from the village to train the Ame orphans, even while Jiraiya is away, Team 7 are all still technically fighting for the same team. So this iteration of Team 7 not only includes peak power Hiruzen, who is referred to as the god of shinobi in the beginning of Naruto, the professor later on in Naruto because of his mastery of all of the jutsu of the leaf, a man so powerful that in his early 70s he was able to battle against Tobirama, Hiruzen, and Orochimaru simultaneously, a man who led Konoha through the completion of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Great Shinobi World Wars, and who was also a possessor of such immense strength that he was able to literally push Kurama out of Konoha. But also below him existed the 3 legendary Sannin. Tsunade, a character who was able to use the strength of 100 seal to mitotically regenerate any part of her body that was injured, who had such incredibly immense physical strength that they were able to crack a Madara Susanoo ribcage, something that Naruto couldn't even do with a big ball Rasengan in his KCM-1 form. More than anything, most importantly, she had a contract with Lady Katsuo that allowed her to summon Lady Katsuo to combat, so she had almost infinite regeneration through the power of Lady Katsuo, on top of having the biggest summon on Earth that could fight alongside the likes of Orochimaru, a genius from the moment they were born who mastered hundreds, if not thousands of jutsus, and was also able to summon Manda, the biggest snake in existence, all the while fighting alongside Jiraiya, who was identified as Itachi as a threat so great that he and Kisame together could not prevail in combat against him, a character that was able to battle against the 6 Paths of Pain in their backyard with no prior knowledge of how the technique worked and still beat 4 of them, a man who was able to fuse Ma and Pa to his shoulders to pull in a continuous amount of Senjutsu chakra, while also having a summoning contract with Gamabunta, the chief of toads, and also the biggest toad in existence. These 3, without Hiruzen, mind you, possess such immense power that they were the only people left standing in combat against Hanzo the Salamander, and he was so impressed by them that he dubbed them the legendary Sannin. Now, was this their respective peaks in power? No, I wouldn't say so. In fact, using a lot of feats that I just used to describe each and every single one of these characters is kind of inaccurate because we're only talking about them up until the conclusion of the 3rd Great Shinobi World War. And in actuality, Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and maybe Tsunade all probably got stronger after the conclusion of the 3rd Great Shinobi World War. Tsunade is probably the biggest question mark as to whether or not she got stronger after the 3rd Great Shinobi World War because she was kind of just just gambling. Orochimaru was mastering things like Edo Tensei, Jiraiya was acting as the Shadow Hokage, completing hundreds of S-ranked missions, and while Hiruzen was at this point aging and therefore getting weaker, the discrepancy in strength between the end of the Third Great Shinobi World War Orochimaru and Fourth Great Shinobi World War Orochimaru is significant. But still, the combined forces of the legendary Sannin and Hiruzen all working together in their relative primes is one of the strongest shinobi teams we've ever known of. But with all this said, who is the strongest ever iteration of Team 7, you ask?
Baryon Mode Naruto,
it's
Rinnegan,
obviously
Sharingan,
Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi. I mean, come on, was that ever in doubt? Now, like I said earlier, if you wanted to talk about the literal most recent iteration of Boruto's Team 7...
I don't even think stupid advertisements, but even if we talked about that one, I don't believe it even gives them a run for their money, if we're being honest. I do not believe it gives them a run for their money. They're strong 2. I think a definite 2. Baryon Mode Naruto is taking down the whole squad. I'm sorry. And then you add in Sasuke with his Rinnegan on top of that. And look who their leader is, Konohamaru. Kakashi is working. Sakura is working that. I'm putting Sakura on Konohamaru. Naruto take out the rest of the squad. And if Boruto is still alive past Baryon Mode, Sasuke clean that up. And if you can't, Kakashi go clean that up. Like, we still got 2 other hitters ready to clean that up.
Is an argument to be made that they may already be stronger than Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi at their peaks. But that's not the video we're talking about today. I'm going to film it tomorrow. I don't know what's going to come out. But I have not a singular ounce of doubt when I say that the strongest ever iteration of the original Team 7, even though they're not the first Team 7, they're the first that we knew about, exists in Boruto, prior to the battle against Ishiki. Now, I know some arguments could possibly be made that the strongest ever iteration of Team 7 we saw was at the end of the Fourth Great Shinobi World War in battle against Kaguya, because, well, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura were probably weaker in that battle than they currently are in Boruto. Kakashi having DMS is a pretty big factor. I'd argue the difference in strength between Fourth Great Shinobi World War, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, and Boruto, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura pretty massively outweighs the difference between post-Hokage Kakashi and DMS Kakashi. Because here's the thing, post-Hokage Kakashi is still really strong. Not only was he able to go toe-to-toe with the likes of Kashin Koji, who was able to kill an albeit weakened version of Jigen, but he has also shown that now, without a Sharingan, he really hasn't lost any of his offensive capability, as for 1, he now can look out of both of his eyes, 2, he's not going blind in one of his eyes, and 3, he recreated the Chidori with purple lightning. But on top of this, his chakra reserves are now massively larger than they used to be because he no longer has the chakra suck of a Sharingan he can't turn off, which has allowed him to do things like creating a source of fire ninjutsu so large he was able to extinguish an infinite water source created by Hagoromo, build a lightning release resistant mud wall around an entire village and maintain it for 12 hours under the battery of cannon fire, and maybe more importantly than anything, go toe-to-toe with the likes of Nue and cut off one of its tails. Hokage and post-Hokage Kakashi is nothing to scoff at. While they may not be the strongest Hokage of all time, we are still talking about a high Kage level threat. Undoubtedly stronger than most of the other Kage from all of the other villages throughout all of history. To keep it going, Sakura was able to battle against Shin Uchiha in one-on-one combat, doing things like throwing massive stone pillars at him, boxing him in taijutsu even though he's got like 17 Sharingan, and all in all pushing the offensive against somebody who was probably about as strong as Madara was when he was alive. As in the fact that Sakura has unlocked a myriad of different abilities in the blank period in Boruto that give her access to things like Byakugan level chakra sensing, complete and total immunity to genjutsu, minor genjutsu usage, and a healing factor so incredibly ridiculous that she can be punched through the midsection like Ace with a tailed beast tail and just regenerate it, and also just pop out a brand new arm when he gets ripped off like Piccolo. Sasuke with his 6-tome Rinnegan and years as a Shadow Hokage has gained so much strength that he believes that he can one-on-one a Kaguya level threat, which he backs up pretty immediately by battling against Momoshiki and Kinshiki simultaneously by himself. And Naruto in the blank period in Boruto has probably more impressive feats than he had throughout the entire duration of his own story, like taking an attack from Toneri that cut the moon in half, beating down fused Momoshiki in base, and unlocking Baryon mode, which made him so incredibly powerful that he was able to beat the brakes off Ishiki for a couple of minutes. They're the strongest version of Team 7 ever. I don't know what you want from it. Now, they do absolutely get weaker after the battle against Ishiki as Sasuke loses his 6-tome Rinnegan and Naruto loses Kurama, but that's not the purpose of the video today. But I'm curious to hear from you guys. What do you believe is the strongest ever iteration of Team 7? Do you believe it currently exists in Boruto right now, or do you think that title still lies with Naruto? Let me know in the comments below. And while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this.
All right, and so it looks like it's about the end for us here. So I mean, yeah, I mean, if you ask me, I agree with the list for the most part. I mean, one change I might make, I think I could see the Obito team Minato versus team. See, the thing is, it's always the teachers. It's kind of ruining it, man. Konohamaru is a teacher. I mean, you got Konohamaru and Yamato as the sensei, and it's like, really, against Hiruzen, Minato, and Kakashi, like, it's kind of hard. So when I'm thinking about Minato's team and and Konohamaru's team, it's kind of rough because Minato probably couldn't, you know what I'm saying, like, I mean, he's got the karma market, so Minato might not be able to work with that. So I mean, I guess in that aspect, the Boruto team might be able to be up one more just for that reason. So maybe like Team Minato, then Team Konohamaru, and then everything else, Naruto's, you know, Legendary Sonic, Naruto. You know what I'm saying? Like, let the teams go like that. But let me know down below, man. Is there any discrepancy in your top 7? What would you say if we did include just Boruto's up till now, current date? If you guys have read the manga or at least seen the leaks and know where they're at currently. Today's team, I keep forgetting that man's name. Konohamaru versus Team Kakashi. Like, which one would you actually take here today with that Baryon? I'm telling you, Baryon mode is just so undefeated. I cannot see Naruto losing in Baryon mode at all, unless you just wear him down right at the time. Now, the other members don't have lifespans of Otsutsuki's, so let me know how he's losing. I'll catch you guys in the next video, man, for the next anime video. It's me, your boy Sean, Move, aka Black Okage, Black Avatar, and King Leo, aka the King of Baryon mode. Late till I get my form. And I'll catch you guys in the next video, man. I'm gone for the day. Peace.